how special it is to be a human being and how you have the power to bring things to yourself. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what system you are in. It doesn't matter what government you're in. It doesn't matter what job you're in. It doesn't matter. The surroundings, your surroundings do not matter. It's what's in here that counts. It's being a human being that counts. Okay? And you are special. You are very special. Okay? Now, animals only have this experience. They look out this way. That's it. Human beings can observe themselves. Good morning, Jay. Jay is our moderator on that platform over here. We don't want to say because, we got in trouble for naming all the networks. We're on 6 of them every morning at 7. So we call it the 7 at 7. So we do it at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. And we do it 7 days a week. So anyway, you're a very special being. It's a privilege and a blessing to be a human being. You live this way one time. That's it. That's all you get. This way. Do you live another way? Some people think so. Do you get another chance at another life in another form? Well, let me just tell you that Einstein came to the conclusion that you can't extinguish energy. So whatever you call what's in here, you want to call this a spirit, you want to call this a soul, you want to call it energy, it can't be extinguished, okay? And it is very distinguished. It is you, it is unique. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, there's only one like you. Only one like you. Okay, if you see me looking all over, it's because we have various cameras in the studio here. So there is only the conscious, the subconscious, and superconscious. That's it. That's all there is. Okay, there is heaven, there is esoteric heaven, and there is esoteric hell, and then there are the heavens. Okay, so what am I talking about? The heavens are up there in the sky, the heavens. Okay, now heaven and hell are human constructs. Heaven and hell refer to head and heel, and it is very much a human construct. So think about yourself as energy. Does energy get burned? Like eternally in fire? No. If you go back to the sun, think about it. The sun gives off 4 different types of radiation per month, and it takes 9 cycles of that to create a fetus. A lot of fetuses are, babies are born way ahead of schedule now. But that's the standard. So there is a theory, there's one theory that when your energy goes, it goes back to where it came from. It goes back to the sun. That's a theory. Good morning, guys. Good morning. So it goes back to where it comes from. Does it get projected into something else? Maybe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. But I am here to tell you that you can communicate with the superconscious, or what you call God, or what you call the divine, through divine transmission and divine reception. What does that mean? Well, that means that you always receive from the divine. You always have intuitive thought, which is divine. Remember that scenario that I always describe? So you're driving down the street, right? You get that feeling to turn right. You ignore it because you have free will. So you're like, well, no, I pass. I'll go down the street. And then you get stuck in a traffic jam and you go, I knew I should have turned over there. Because you did know. You did know. So it's a spontaneous knowing or guidance that you just feel. It has nothing to do with logic. So this is your right brain. And esoterically, this is why Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father, not the left, the right. It has to do with the right temple, the temple. It has to do with the right hemisphere of your brain. The story of Moses, esoterically, okay, is the journey from the left side to the right. And that's where Jesus is, at the right hand of the Father. So when you look into esoteric meanings, when you look deeper than the surface, because there's exoteric, or the information they feed the masses, and then there's esoteric, things that you need to look a little bit deeper for, things you need to have the veil lifted to understand. What's the veil? The veil is what keeps you blinded into your physical reality, into the physical matrix. So when you're talking about higher self communication, or higher intelligence, or infinite intelligence, or universe, or source, or God, what you're really talking about is intuition. And your intuition will not sharpen until this one is clear. And the fastest way to clear it: affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Why is this? Because of distractions. There's so many distractions to keep you bound in the physical matrix. So what do? You surrender. Surrender to who? Okay, is it like a army movie where they surrender to another army? No, it's not. You surrender to the superconscious, or to God, or whatever you believe that is. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but you need to surrender to that. What does that mean? That means let go and let God, or let go and allow, or let go and be guided. Because if you don't let go, you're going to be like this in the physical matrix, bound to the physical matrix. The physical matrix will be the only thing you understand, because you won't be able to see. Many look but don't see. Many listen but don't hear. And this will bind you. This will hold you. This will keep you hostage. This will keep you a prisoner to the physical matrix. This will also take away your awareness. It will limit your awareness. So surrender is necessary. However you believe, whatever you believe, but surrender. It's very difficult for the ego to surrender. The ego always thinks it knows better, always. Always. So, how do we surrender? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. The fastest way to begin this process is vocalization, through the voice, through your voice. There used to be an old catchphrase. They used to say, speak the dream. Speak your goals. Speak them out loud, not in front of others. Speak them out loud by yourself. The best place, in my experience, is the bathroom mirror, because there's light. And the two fastest ways to the subconscious is visualization and vocalization. Okay? Sight and sound. And it's very empowering. It feels crazy. Very empowering, though. So you have to speak it. The world was spoken into existence in the Holy Bible. There's a lot of fundamental errors in the Holy Bible, but those are one of its principles. What it's telling you esoterically is when you speak something, you produce a vibration. That vibration will resonate in kind. What does that mean? That means like attracts like. That vibration will join with a like vibration. It will return to you in kind. So if you're projecting that vibration in a negative manner, it will return to you in a negative way. If you're projecting your voice in a positive manner, or let's say speaking good things versus speaking bad things, it will return to you in kind. It's universal law. That's what the book of Job in the Bible is all about. What I fear falls upon me. And everything Job dreaded became reality. Why? Subconscious. It's a story about the subconscious mind. There is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Inspired intuition is said to be the voice of the superconscious. Some people call it divine guidance. So begin asking yourself questions, and you will begin receiving answers. You ask in here, you're answered in here, but you need to trust your intuition. You need to trust that intuitive thought, because if you don't trust the intuitive thought, you're allowing your free will to take over. They call it free will for a reason. So we discussed the 12 universal laws. One of them was the law of action. You have to take action on intuitive thought. You have to take action. Because as you take the baby steps, the doors begin to open. When you stop taking steps, the doors slow down and they don't open. So the only way to fail, right, and failure is a part of success. The only way to fail is to stop. The only way to fail is to give up. When you throw in the towel, so to speak, when you quit, okay, the doors stop opening. But when you're persistent and you pursue in baby steps, not big steps, baby steps, okay? Why baby steps? Because if you take giant steps, and you take the wrong step, now there's a giant correction. If you do baby steps, easy to correct, right? Let's step over here. Oh, no, that's not the place. Okay, sorry. Let's go over here. Oh, this works. Okay, let's take one more baby step over there. And the doors begin to open. So a lot of people think that there's this coincidence mechanism. Coincidence? Yeah, see, I was thinking about working at Starbucks, and then I was down at the store and I was standing in line and I started talking to this girl, and it turns out that she's a Starbucks manager. And she told me that they have openings and that I should come and apply, and I went down and applied, and now I'm working at Starbucks. Coincidence or superconscious? Your subconscious works with the superconscious. Think of your subconscious as holding the topic. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. When you install a new belief, or let's say it another way, when you install a new goal, maybe the goal is working at Starbucks. Now the subconscious goes, okay, we're working on that. Okay. Now the superconscious will feed into the subconscious. It'll also affect your reticular activating system, which will filter out what you're not focused on. And when you apply steady focus, or let's say it another way, when you stick to a goal and take baby steps towards the goal, it will materialize into physical form. Into physical form. How do you do this? You marry intention with emotion. It doesn't matter what intention, it doesn't matter what emotion. But remember, returning that vocalization in kind. It's energy, frequency, vibration. And in my training, it's velocity. Those 4 things. So if you make an impression, you can call it the universe, you can call it God, you can call it source, you can call it infinite intelligence, but when you make that impression with that feeling, it will return to you in kind. Make a good impression on it. Make a joyful impression on it, a happy impression on it. That's your default energy. Your default energy is not being upset. It's not being angry. Those are all negative vibrations. Negative vibrations are learned by the subconscious. And then you acquire triggers. So the triggers keep happening. The triggers keep going like this. Good morning, Manuel. Good morning. The triggers keep happening like this. Then what happens? Every time something happens that, right, is related to that, it triggers it. There you go. Then you're unhappy again. Then you're unhappy again. Then your subconscious goes, oh, we're being unhappy? Okay, we're unhappy about that? Okay. It's a learned action. You have learned to be depressed. You have learned to be full of anxiety. You have learned to be angry. You have learned to be happy. You have learned to be joyful. It depends on what you are. So the question is, what am I? Am I happy? Ask the question. Ask the question. Because if you're not happy, you can fix it. If you're not happy, you have the ability to change it. How do you change it? You might want to start with one of these. And then you might want to start with your voice. You don't need to chant. You don't need to say words you don't understand. You don't need to have these fancy rituals and things with candles, and it's not necessary. You can do it if it makes you feel good. If it makes you happy, go do it. But it's not necessary. You're a human being. You are made in the image of the Creator. You are part of creation. And this is why yesterday we were talking about when you speak against yourself, you're speaking against the Creator. When you speak against someone else, you are speaking against the Creator. When you insult someone else, you are insulting the Creator. Whoever you believe, whatever you believe, Now, when you're showing love to someone, or let's say it another way, when you're being loving, you have the ability to be loving. That's your natural state. You were born from love. You were born of love. You were born in love. When you're doing that, now you're honoring God, or the superconscious, or whatever you think that is. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. But now you're doing that. When you give time to others, you're giving of your life. The more time you give, the more life you give, the more blessings you get. It has to happen. It has to happen. Part of my business model is to give. Not give money to charities. I give my time. I give my life. Good morning, Yolanda. Good morning. So give your time, give your life, give something to someone that's valuable, part of your life. Give your time, volunteer, help people. You can find a lot of people to help, like right away, today. 10 minutes from now, you can find someone to help. Someone needs your help in your neighborhood, in your friend group, on your social media. You don't have to look far. But when you do this, blessings start to come automatically. You can change your life by giving your time. Hi, Yolanda. You can change your life by becoming loving. So some people say, well, it's easier for me to be grouchy and grumpy. I've been grouchy and grumpy for about 3 days right now. But I also, when I'm not being grouchy, I'm being loving, I'm being giving. Balance is important in the universe. Everything has its balance. Everything. When you go too much to this side, the universe or the superconscious or your subconscious will pull you back over here. When you go too much to this side, it'll pull you back to here. What's here? Your life path is here. Your life path is here, and it unfolds like this, right? Naturally. Life unfolds from here out here, not the other way around. Life does not happen to you. Life happens for you. All of your desires, all of the things you think about, all of the things you've imagined start to come out and manifest in the physical. It's the universal law of correspondence. It unfolds for you. Your life path and your purpose unfolds, and part of it is genetic. Or it can be, because you can fight your genetics. I did that for many years. I kind of sort of did that. I kind of sort of wanted to go over here, and God said, no, go back over here. And then I said, okay, I'll do it part-time. But I want to do this stuff over here. And then it was okay over here. And it was okay over here. And then slowly it went back to the middle, and God said, no, you belong here. And here we are. But you have to understand that you have full control over this process, over the unfolding of your gifts, the unfolding of your talents, the unfolding of your life path. You have full control. Are there circumstances that you need to deal with? Things that just randomly happen? Yes, of course. Of course. But for you, for yourself, when you begin to channel the superconscious, channel the superconscious. How do we do that? Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever been explaining something to someone? Have you ever been, maybe this is how this works, and you're explaining it, and all of a sudden you start saying things that you didn't even know you knew, and you're going, I better remember this because I didn't even know I knew this. But I'm speaking it right now to my bestie. I'm explaining this process, and I didn't know I had this knowledge in me. Hi, Francesca. Good morning. Thank you. You were born with infinite intelligence. Don't get intelligence confused with education. When you are educated, you are being educated into something. You were born with infinite intelligence. If nobody told you or taught you right from wrong, you would still know right from wrong. And wisdom is granted. There are so many people that I know, right? That they go, no, channeling it, that's devil stuff, that's evil, no, that's superconscious. Now, can it be evil? Sure, it can be evil. What is your focus? Good or evil? It's like the devil on the shoulder, the angel on this shoulder. Which one do you choose? Well, I think I'm going to choose the devil. I want to do evil stuff. Okay, there you go. Now you will start channeling evil. Why? Because your subconscious dictates it to be so. Now your subconscious goes, okay, topic is evil. I'm going to do bad things. I'm going to do evil things. And now you get intuitive thought to back up what's in the subconscious. That's why we have serial, right? They do things serially. Why? Because it's in their subconscious. It's a habit. Hi, Shwetu. Good morning. So sure, there's evil people out there. Yeah, for sure. They have acquired evil. They weren't born evil. They weren't born doing bad stuff. It became a habit. And there are also environmental concerns. Hey, Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you, brother. I'll see you tomorrow. The subconscious learns in repetition. You want to be evil? Just keep doing evil things. Now, as we discussed before, there's only limited steps to evil. Okay, there's only a few steps down in evil. You could lose your personal belongings. You could end up on the street. That's one step. The next step is prison. The next step is graveyard. That's where it ends. That's the end of evil. In the Holy Bible, it says the wages of sin are death. That's where it ends, in the graveyard. So, what's on the other end? What's on the positive side? What's on the, the good side? The positive emotional frequencies. What's on that side? Well, there's no limit to the amount of money you can make. There's no limit to the achievements you can achieve. There's no limit. There's about 3 steps on this side, but good is unlimited. The highest frequency is love. The lowest frequency is fear. Fear has extreme consequences. Fear keeps you off your life path. Love, there's no limit. There's no limit to how many people you can love. There's no limit to how much you can love your community, or you can love your job, or you can love whatever it is you love. There's no limit. It's unlimited. Love is unlimited. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. The smallest, at the 50 percentile, right? I always mention this. The smallest positive emotion is satisfaction. And then it builds up. Hope, excitement, enthusiasm, passion, joy, gratitude, peace, and love at the very top. So if you're satisfied, you're on the right track. But if you're rooted in the physical matrix, and you have the blinders on, you cannot see. You look, but you don't see. You listen, but you don't hear. Why? Because you're grounded in the physical matrix. The mouse wheel, right? Monday through Friday, you have a set schedule. You get up at a certain time. You go to work at a certain time. You come home at a certain time. You cook for the kids at a certain time. You have a couple of hours for your time. And then you're back on the wheel. 5 days a week, sometimes 6. Sometimes you have a second job. Sometimes you have a third job. And pretty soon, you're anchored very firmly into the physical matrix. Now, what happens when your awareness raises? When your awareness raises, you can look back down in on something. And you can be in it and not of it. What does that mean? Christians have a saying. You can be in the world and not of the world. In other words, you can be a part of the world, but not participate in it. Not participate in it. Not participate in the system. Not go along with the system. The kids are discovering that more and more. And they're quitting their jobs. They quit their jobs. They say, this is too much. I quit. And guess what? They're still alive. How does this happen? Yesterday I told you even the cats eat. Even the cats at the park. I go to this park and I see the cats and they're eating. Canned food. Expensive food. It's expensive. Canned cat food is expensive. And there's this old lady, God bless her. She feeds the cats with her friend every morning. Canned food. But that's her dharma. Dharma is an Indian word. That means that's her purpose. Everything comes to us through others, from the superconscious, or from God, or from Source, or from infinite intelligence. However you want to say it, however you believe. But even the cats eat. Even the birds eat. The entire universe is intelligent. Everything in the universe is intelligent. So when you get to the point that you feel you have to push over here, you have to make this go this way, you have to make this go that way, what you're really doing is being bound into the physical matrix. And you need to surrender. You need to let go. Too much of this will hurt you. Too much like this. Okay? Hanging on, bound. You're bound, you're connected, you're bound. How do you fix it? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. That's how you fix it. Do most people do that? No. I started doing it in 2007. My whole life changed. When I ask, I receive. Let me show you how I ask. This is how I ask. This is the new one. This is the new one. This is the one I just got finished with. And this is all asking and gratitude. That's all this is, asking and gratitude. What happens when you ask? Well, your subconscious starts to work. Your subconscious does not know the difference between fantasy and reality. It does not know the difference between good and bad. It doesn't know whether you're getting a check or a bill. It cannot tell. But it runs 90% of your life. Sometimes 95, depending on what source you go and do research with. But 90% of your life is automatic. Can you change the automated process? Of course. You're better than any computer, any supercomputer. They haven't built anything like you yet. They're close. They're pretty close. They're pretty close. Will it happen one day? I'm sure. I'm sure. Because humans are programming it. If you're participating in any form of AI, you are helping to fine-tune it. You are helping to refine it. The frontal lobe of your brain is your operating system. Your subconscious is your hard drive where the programs are stored. The superconscious is your network. The superconscious is your network. That's where we're all plugged into. The first universal law, the law of one, states that everything is connected. Not just human beings. Everything is connected. Everything has a vibration. Animals are connected. We're connected to animals. That's why you have a good relationship with your dog. That's why your dog seems to know who you are. That's why your dog, loves you, right? Shows you love, shows you affection. So how do you make this work for you? All you need to do is adjust the programs that exist, modify the programs that exist, or install new programs. How would you do it on a computer? The process is the same. On a computer, you would buy a new program. You would install it. The operating system will work with it. The network will be a part of it. And when they all work synergistically with each other, or let's say it another way, when they're all on the same page, when they're all working in concert with each other, things begin to happen. The conscious, the subconscious, and superconscious working together in alignment. 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 Then you have synergy. When you have synergy, you have cooperation. When you have cooperation, you have a very powerful computer. When you do it in here, the kingdom is in here. Everything you want is in here. Everything out here gets projected from within, from in here. Your life unfolds for you. It doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So what do you have to do? Well, first, if you're like this, grounded in the physical matrix, you have to let go. You have to surrender to the superconscious. Which means when you get these intuitive thoughts, you have to pay attention. You have to take action on intuitive thought. In order to receive, you have to allow. You cannot receive if you're not allowing. If your ego is running your life, and I say it in the most positive sense that I can. If your ego is in charge, your ego says, I know better, like this, and your intuitive thought is saying, no, over here, but you're going, no, over here, like this, my way. So first you let go, first you allow, first you surrender. Christians have a way of saying this. They say, let go and let God. Let go and let God. But the letting go part comes first. Let go. Let go. My best friend was my business partner. He and I started several companies. And when we started these companies, I thought we had to do it like this. We had to micromanage everything. We had to manage everything. We had to have control over everything. And then he died in 2015. And I thought everything was going to go off the cliff. I thought everything was just going to sink, fall apart. Did it fall apart? No. What happened? The subconscious started working. What does that mean? People came out of the blue. People came, oh, can I help? Can I help you with this? Can I help you with that? Can I, what do you need, uncle? Can I help you with this? Can I help you with that? Nothing fell apart. Nothing at all fell apart. What was the lesson? The lesson was at that point, I surrendered. And I had been learning these things from 2007. My friend didn't die until 2015. And it came out of the blue. And we never know when these things are going to come. It could come for me tomorrow. I'm just saying, we don't know. But when he left in 2015, I surrendered because I gave up. I didn't have a choice. Half of everything died. I was left with half. I was left with half. Half was gone. Half died. I only had 50%. I thought the 50% was going to vanish, disappear. No, it didn't. That 50% increased and increased and increased, and the right people came and filled positions, and it increased and increased and increased. And then came the pandemic. So we lost, actually, in 2019, I quit entertainment. I used to be an entertainer. For those of you outside of Hawaii, we have an international network this morning. I'm not going to mention all the outlets, but there are 6 of them. So that stopped in 2019. In 2020, during the pandemic, I lost 2 companies to the pandemic. So I built 2 more during the pandemic. And I thought, wow, we're building this online. How is this going to work? Understand that the how is God's job. You don't have to know how. I know some very, very intelligent people that get stuck all the time because they're trying to figure it out logically. They're trying to figure out how. The how is God's job, not your job. You just have to know what and why. Know your why. Know your what. As long as you know that, the how is God's job. When you sit down and try to figure how this thing is going to work, how do I do this? How do I, okay? Pretty soon your imagination starts working against you. Pretty soon your mind starts working against you. Pretty soon you give up and you go, now this, I can't see how this is going to work. But the how is God's job. We started with one company. It was a production company. It's now a consultant company. You can look us up, VMAC Consultants. That company grew into another company. And then we kept forming things when we learned that the how is God's job. And things kept going like that because we didn't need to know how. The how is always God's job. So, what did I learn from all of this? Well, I learned number one, nothing's going to fall apart because if you still keep taking the baby steps, the doors will still open. If you have faith in what you're doing, you have to have faith in this one. You have to have faith in this one. Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you. But you have to have faith in this one. I know so many people that believe in God that tell, oh yes, I believe in God, praise the Lord, praise God, praise Jesus, praise Allah. But they have no confidence in this one. Yet the kingdom is in here. If you know that the kingdom is in here, and you know that God is in here, and you know you're a co-creator with God, nothing should scare you. Nothing should scare you. Sure, you have emotions, but you also have confidence. Confidence is that relaxed feeling inside, that easygoing, carefree feeling inside. That's confidence. Confidence is not like, like that. Those guys in the gym, overcompensation. That little 4'11" girl has total control over those guys. Total. She tells them what to do, right? She makes them break down and cry. And they're big tough guys, right? Wrong. Tough begins here. Alpha begins here. Sigma begins here. If you can't be strong here, it will be reflected out here. Whatever's out here is a reflection of what's in here. It's the law of correspondence. It's a law. It's a universal law. So when you start a business, when you start a relationship, when you start anything, you have to believe in this one first. Okay? If you're getting into a relationship because you want stability, because you think the other person is going to complete you, think again. You were born complete. You were born with your own life path. You were born with your own gifts and blessings. And everything is there for you to receive. Esther Hicks refers to it as the vortex. Okay, vortex, okay. But it will unfold and give to you as long as there's no doubt and no fear. If there's doubt and fear, it will keep you from your goal. So the unfolding of your life path will slow down or stop. If there's enough fear, it will stop. Okay, if there's just a little fear, it might just slow down. And then when you're happy, it picks up. Fearful, slow down. A lot of young people ask me, Uncle, how did you do this? How did you do that? How did you build this company? How did you do that? How did you do the record label? How did you record all these albums? How did you do this? How did you do that? I don't know. That was God's job. All I did was when I was 12 years old, I just started imagining these things. And slowly, they materialized. Slowly. And then I got ideas. Where do ideas come from? The superconscious. God, superconscious, higher intelligence, higher self, however you want to say it. And I started listening. And the feeling was, well, maybe you should turn the production company into a consulting company and be a consultant. And this Feng Shui master I went to watch, he said, you're a natural born consultant, do consulting. And I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about being a consultant. Just do it. Like Nike says, just do it. I didn't know the first thing about consulting. Guess who my first client was? Walgreens, my first client. Oh my God. I was tested by fire. All of my people were tested by fire. It wasn't a big company. But Walgreens was a huge company. And the steps were shaky. You know, sometimes I was shaking in my boots as I was going to meetings. I was sitting in meetings going, I hope I have the answer for this. I hope I have the answer for that. And when the questions came, the superconscious was there. Why? Because the plan in the subconscious was consultant. And the superconscious fed that. And the superconscious was like, okay, say this, say that. I bought my first car the same way. Good morning. Good morning, John. I bought my first car the same way. All I did, I had intuitive, I was driving down the freeway. And I got intuitive thought, okay, go. You know, I was practicing. I was putting my hands on the steering wheel, smelling the leather, doing all of that. Okay? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. And one day I'm driving, after 2 months of that, one day I'm driving down the street and there's the Infinity dealership and the superconscious said, go, boy. And I was like, really? And I was like, okay, here we go. And I went and I followed intuition. It was in 2007, the stock market was going like this, right into the recession of 2008. So I got a good percentage rate, right? Good interest rate. Coincidence or superconscious? But the question was, this is going to be a 3-year thing, right? At the time, it was a 3-year thing. It was a brand new car. 58,000 on signature. I didn't know what my credit score was. I didn't know anything. All I knew was I was being directed to do that. Every step of the way, I responded to the superconscious or to God. The reason I say superconscious a lot is because I don't want to offend people that don't believe in God. So if you don't believe in God, okay. I'm just saying, okay, superconscious. But I listened every step of the way. I paid attention. When the guy said, do you see anything out here in the used car lot that you like? I looked around. but I checked in. And God said no. And I said no. He goes, would you like to take a look at new cars? And I waited, and then I heard yes. And I said yes. And the rest is history. From 2007, or 2008 actually, it was a 2008 model, till now, it's been brand new cars. New car smell is all I know. So when I smell the leather, sit in my car, okay, I can tell you it takes 3 years for the smell to go away because it's still there. Okay, just in case you're wondering, in 3 years, the new car smell is still there. In 3 years. I don't know about 4 years, 5 years. I've never had a car that long. Not since I gave up buying good used cars. That was the subconscious programming. That was what everyone was saying. Oh, you need to buy a good used car, a good used car, a good. So that was my paradigm. That was my understanding. Okay, so the roots of the tree are your subconscious conditioning, your core beliefs. The trunk of the tree is your paradigm, the way you see things according to what you believe, the roots. And then the fruits are your actions that turn into results. You know, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to lose money. When you drive it off the lot, it depreciates by, so many $1,000s. I've never worried about that. And as soon as I buy the car, guess what? The superconscious brings more clients, more opportunities, more contracts, more money to support the car. So I asked this guy one time, he was a big realtor guy, like very rich man, right? So I asked this, a lot richer than me. I asked this guy, I said, is it like this? Like you buy the house first and then the money comes to support the house? He said, yeah, that's the way it works. And he owned a lot of property. So the hard part, the difficult part is to change your thinking. Okay, I'm a mindset coach. I teach mindset. Once you adjust your mindset, it goes on subconscious repetition. The subconscious learns in repetition and the subconscious repeats actions. You don't even have to think about it after that. You automatically do these things. So the question becomes, are good habits hard to form? The answer is no. You look at it that way because you think of it as work. You think of it as some kind of challenge, as some kind of hard thing to do. It's not. A habit is a habit. Good or bad, it's still a habit. It's repetition. It can be good or it can be bad. You can be a good person or a bad person. What actions are you doing more of, good or bad? Thank you, Jay. Thank you for moderating. It's up to you, okay? You are a human being. You're the highest life form on the planet that we know of. And it's 8 o'clock in Hawaii right now. So we'd like to let go of our international feed. We'd like to thank you. And we'll be here tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. Put it on your calendar.